Ubisoft's collapse has hastened in recent days, and they're still like a month or two out. March 20th, right? Yeah, March 20th, the 30th anniversary of the sarin gas attack in Japan. Oy, 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 man. Like, their collapse, it is really sped up. Is really sped up because we've had news of studio closures, we've had news of restructurings, and well, everything that we're seeing about Assassin's Creed Shadows leads us to believe these restructurings and these closures are far from being over. Ubisoft shutters Star Wars Outlaws and Skull and Bones support studios, announces a targeted restructuring of 3 more teams in order to reduce the cost to ensure long-term stability. Yeah, like, because last time we touched on this, and like I said, this story is moving very quickly. I don't even know. It's like I put out a Dragon Age video that I recorded earlier this week, and it's already out of date because we got to talk about that tomorrow with BioWare going into restructuring, meaning, oopsie daisy, it's just about over. But I don't want to spoil that premise. Tune in tomorrow for more on that. But the hits just keep on coming, and they don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming for Ubisoft amidst their ongoing operational struggles. The French developer has announced that in an effort to ensure a long-term stability, they will be undertaking a mass restructuring of 3 of their satellite support studios, as well as full-on closing of 1 more. Yeah, Ubisoft Leamington ends up, with just a full, you don't work here no more. But as first publicly detailed by Ubisoft to Eurogamer's editor-in-chief Tom Phillips, this shakeup is seeing downsizing at their Ubisoft Blue Byte, located in Dusseldorf, Ubisoft Stockholm, and Ubisoft Reflections locating in Newcastle. Support teams, as well as, the complete closure of their Leamington studio. In a statement provided to the outlet, the Ubisoft spokesperson explained, as part of the ongoing efforts to prioritize projects and reduce the cost to ensure a long-term stability at Ubisoft, we have announced targeted restructurings at Ubisoft Dusseldorf, Ubisoft Stockholm, and Ubisoft Reflections, and is the permanent closure of Ubisoft Leamington site. Unfortunately, this should impact 185 employees overall. We are deeply grateful for all of you redundant motherfuckers out there who could have your job replaced by literally anybody. That's how superfluous your hiring was to begin with. It just kind of shows you the bloat that's going on at Ubisoft, that with one simple stroke of the pen, 185 motherfuckers are rendered useless. But apparently, looking after the release of Shadows could be another studio, quite a major studio, in fact, because, Ubisoft is shut down, Ubisoft Quebec, after Assassin's Creed Shadow release. Now, right now, that sits at just a rumor, and as Ubisoft ended up, scuttling the team behind Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, after that game released. Now, this is something that normally happens, people that are hired on contractors, part-time guys that just come through, they come through, and then, they just get shuttered, and they just get furloughed until the next project comes around. So this is something that has just been standard practice in the industry for a very, very, very long time. But when it comes to Ubisoft and them just closing studios and announcing failure after failure, it's kind of a sign of the times and more things that are going to be on the horizon, especially with how awful Assassin's Creed Shadows looks. I mean, we've been talking about the story, we've been talking about the characters, but all of the new stuff that's coming out, I mean, bro, you take a look at some of the gameplay, and now people are looking at this going, oh shit, maybe these optics aren't exactly that great, and we're not even looking at the Japanese side of social media, because they have not been letting up on this. It's like, why are we doing this? Why are we getting behind this stuff? Well, in actuality, things get even crazier from here, because we got this thing, what are we doing? We got Yaya, Yo-Yo, Iha, and Yahoo. She got the special ability of Rikishi. Oh my god, she definitely do not look fly today. $10 if you get that reference. But Yaya is a strong ally of body, mind, and spirit. Yeah, exactly. Very, very strong. She's a sumo wrestler. Oh, that's what Rikishi stands for. Well, that's very interesting. Okay, yeah. But this is a clip from an interview in mid-May for Xbox. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, this is a familiar setting for gamers. How does this game differentiate its take on the setting? Okay, Benoit. He's one of the head guys over there for the Assassin's Creed brand. We are at the end of the Sengoku era, in a turning point of Japanese history. Assassin's Creed is well known for its depiction of the history and accurate recreation of the world and it's what players can expect with Assassin's Creed Shadows. That is, of course, the company line, unless, of course, they want to put out an apology to Japanese players that say, oh, no, we don't really strive for historical accuracy, just something that, that fits the aesthetic of the time. And so putting in old tons of fun right here, I guess that's something that you could have here. Okay, lady sumo wrestler in Assassin's Creed Shadows in the Sengoku period, 1581 to 1582, most relevant for Yasuke. I guess, okay, like if we're being selectively historically accurate, we can go with that one, discounting the fact that women sumo wrestlers only became a rare thing in the Edo period decades later, 1603 onwards. Rikishi, her character ability, means strongman. Yeah, that's one of the many translations. Okay, I can't even find a more suitable word to describe a woman sumo wrestler at Ubisoft. Again, where are the culture and history consultants? Where's the commitment to accurate depiction of history your reps bragged about? Well, yeah, no, we're just kind of sort of selectively historically accurate, because don't even mention that, in a war-ravaged part of the world, why would there be somebody who would have that amount of mass on their body, let alone a woman with that amount of mass on their body at that period of time? That's a question that only the likes of Neil Druckmann could answer for you, unless of course there's another interpretation of said character in the television side of things that looks nothing like your video game model that you assured us is 1000% accurate and something that could be naturally attained, especially during the time of the apocalypse. But characters like this come into the forefront. Well, I suppose that is what can happen when you send the game back for a little bit of restructuring, delay it a couple of different times, and then you end up attempting to sideline one of your main protagonists. I gotta press X to doubt on this one, okay? Because we've seen the posters, we've seen some of the more recent marketing, and especially, I think wasn't it the Japanese poster that came out that had a very obscured Yasuke face, and then you had Naoe front and center, and then you just had them all surrounded by all of the ancillary characters, short round up front, somebody who looks like they're an aspiring sumo wrestler, a couple of old guys in the background, and then a big looming period accurate looking dude in the background. It's very interesting. It's very interesting what they're doing here. But Assassin's Creed Shadows, yes, the delay was to scale back Yasuke after historical backlash. I don't know, man. Okay, or maybe he was just all over the main story, and that at certain points in time you could tag in Naoe. Maybe. I don't know. But this really only getting delayed. Like, okay, yeah, I got delayed 5 months, right? After the 2 delays from mid-November to mid-March. Is that enough time to really rework an entire story to diminish what is still one of your dual protagonists? I don't really know, but let's take a look. That Park Place source has confirmed that Ubisoft delayed Assassin's Creed Shadows in order to make narrative cuts that severely limit the role of Yasuke in the story. Ubisoft made headlines recently by delaying the game a whole month. Many assumed at the time the Shadows was a buggy mess. Well, we've seen gameplay is still a buggy mess. Not similar to Ubisoft Star Wars Outlaws when it launched. And while that may be true, early hands-on streams have shown more than a few glitches and bugs. We have it on good authority. There's something else going on behind the scenes. As YouTube host SkillUp mentioned, after playing the game for 5 hours, he primarily played as Yasuke, but noted that the experience was vastly different and inferior compared to playing as Naoe. Yeah, somebody who's actually an assassin, somebody who gets the skills of an assassin, as Ubisoft very proudly touted. Oh, Yasuke is going to be a totally different gaming experience, and he's not going to get the traditional skills of an assassin, so that's what makes an Assassin's Creed game fun. All right, then. According to him, Yasuke lacks the same versatility as Naoe. Not just in combat, but also in exploration. That's interesting. Surprisingly, Yasuke that doesn't have the same opportunities, such as climbing high towers. Interesting. So you're saying that he can't jump that high. This gave the impression that Yasuke is locked into a more limited, one-dimensional role within the game. Because, yeah, the only thing that we've actually seen him do so far is chop up a bunch of Japanese guys. So that's interesting. Okay, this aligns with a rumor recently communicated by that Park Place. A source speaking under the condition of anonymity. According to the source, the $20 million delay of Assassin's Creed Shadows was not merely to polish a game, but to shift focus away from Yasuke as the main protagonist. That's it. Again, I don't know, man. I don't think Ubisoft, even facing down the barrel of bankruptcy and a buyout, I don't think that they're going to be learning this much of a lesson, okay? Or maybe he was just all over this stuff. Like, it was 80% Yasuke. Now it'll just be 60. Evidence of this can already be seen in the marketing, where Yasuke is increasingly absent from prominent posters that feature Naoe more prominently instead. Well, I mean, you could just take a look at other contemporary examples of different trailers and marketing material that's out there that goes and hides certain aspects and themes and certain stories that's out there, only to get the real film, series, or game that is just an absolute bait and switch, a total rug pull. One of the most blatant examples from 2024 was Argyle. Oh my god, Henry Cavill gets to play a spy thriller and he's up opposite, what was that, Dua Lipa or something like that? Oh man, this is going to be real. Oh great, now it's just fat Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell. It's like, Sam Rockwell's pretty good, but with no, cats and backpack, like what are we doing out here? That's what the entire film was marketed on, and what people ended up getting, was severely overweight Bryce Dallas Howard sliding around and skating on oil. Like, okay, we've seen this stuff before. I'll believe it when I see it. And this appears, yes, to be the reaction of the backlash Ubisoft has faced, not only from longtime fans of the franchise, but also from many Japanese critics angered by Yasuke's portrayal as a far more significant historical figure than he actually was. Now, okay, if they're going to be doing this because of all of the backlash in Japan, I would like to see a breakdown of the sales data. How well does Assassin's Creed sell in Japan? Because most of these Western IPs, okay, they have the biggest segment of their fan base on Western shores. Like, there's not a lot of translation over to the East as there is the crossover from East to West. Like, West to East doesn't really work like that. So them making these huge sweeping changes in order to appease Japanese markets, like they're more than willing to culturally appropriate, okay, to use some of their terms. They're more than willing to just rip and steal a bunch of the culture in order to, paint an aesthetic and to sell a game, but to actually do right by them, like, come on, man, like, you're asking way too much, okay? Like, we made you a Japanese game. We put a black guy in there. What are you, racist? Furthermore, rumors suggest that that many of Yasuke's quests, including main and side content, have been removed or heavily altered. Okay, these cuts are reportedly intended to avoid offending Japanese audiences and historians who have criticized the game's historical inaccuracy. Well, I mean, he's a samurai, full stop, so that's going to be a big hurdle. Okay, a significant portion of the controversy ties back to Thomas Lockley, whose work with Ubisoft allegedly used as a primary inspiration for Yasuke's character. Yeah, we've talked about that before. I've been down that road plenty of times before. Apparently, it doesn't end there. Our source states that Ubisoft's change in approach has gone even further. The delay was used to refine Naoe's parkour system significantly. Yeah, because you've seen a bunch of those recycled assets, and bro, it looked trash, okay? And to heavily alter many dialogue interactions between Yasuke, Naoe, and NPCs throughout the story. However, as our source mentioned, they could only do so much. Yeah, which is exactly why I don't think, there's going to be a hugely diminished role for Yasuke, because there's only so much that they could do. Like, they've probably been working on this game for 2, 3, 4 years at this point in time. I'd imagine it ended up getting the green light, especially in the way that it's being presented right now. Oh, I don't know, somewhere around 2020, 2021. Makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? Among these dialogue changes were discussions where Yasuke was previously presented as the samurai and celebrated for his renown among Japanese NPCs. Now, it seems, this has been altered to focus on the Creed, which will be built by both main characters, with Naoe taking a more prominent role. Oh, okay, so there was just lick asses for Yasuke, and now they're focusing back around to that whole, Assassin's Creed motif. Jesus, okay. Remember when Altair got dismissed from the Order and then he had to work his way back up? Like, that was the entire story of the first one? No? Okay. I bet you nobody at Ubisoft remembers that. Nobody who probably worked on that original game is still there. Ubisoft has always reworked cutscenes where Yasuke, also reworked cutscenes where Yasuke was initially featured more prominently, with Naoe now portrayed as the driving force of the duo. Oh, so they went and diminished the role of the black guy in Japan to put a girl boss in charge. Oh, this is going to be a dumpster fire, isn't it? From what we understand, it feels almost as though Naoe has taken the lead role, even though players will still have an option to switch between the two characters. And yeah, from all of that right there, oh boy, this is just going to be, it's going to be a patchwork disaster. It's probably not going to be too dissimilar to Captain America Brave New World, and not for the obvious reasons that you think, but just a film that has been shot and then reshot and then reshot and then re-edited, where it's just slapdashed 3 or 4 different movies and a bunch of different scripts just hammered and taped together in order to just, appease an audience of none. Like, this is what this game is coming across as being. And well, the closer we get to release, the more closely I'm going to be paying attention to this, because bro, this does not look good. This looks like a train wreck in the making and the end of Ubisoft, as if that wasn't already clear enough from the outset. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.